Yeah. So now the recording started. Okay, and then you can share your screen and we can start. It looks a bit different on my screen. But I give you the, I make you as co-host. So now you should be able to share your screen. Fine, fine.
Maybe if you can mute there so that I use my microphone here. Or should I mute?
Are you fine?
Yes, can you hear me? Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes. Okay.
Okay. Good morning. For those who are connecting remotely, my name is Bravimore, and I call myself a Koha evangelist. So I'm just going to do a marathon through what I call power features of Koha. I hope we have a chance to demo because I have a live Koha system on my laptop here. It's time around. So this is the outline of my presentation. Also, we are first going to look at the Z950, which I call the librarian's copy and paste feature. We're also going to look at the MARC Frameworks, which are the templates which control how you enter data into Koha. And we are also going to look at how we can control the text or the markers that get displayed in the OPAC for the users to see. Then we are going to look at some global updates, page editing features in Koha itself. And we look at customization of the WebPAC, because when it comes with the default colors, default logo from Koha, but maybe you would like to introduce your own logo, introduce your own menus within the OPAC, so that the OPAC can belong to the institution, or can talk to your client. Then we also look at the issue of backup and restore, which I call the insurance. I think you don't want to lose any data after investing in data for 20 years. 20 years of data and then just lose it in the hard disk crash. I think we don't want that to happen. Then also the issue of upgrades. I normally call this that some people install software and forget. But you see, Koha is actively being developed, and you don't want to stay on an old release that is maybe no longer supported. You want to make sure you are on the current I'm sure we'll do a raw code check. I mean, what version we are still running. The current version, I think, is 20.05. So don't install it. So we'll talk about how you can handle upgrades. So let's look at the Z950. As I said before, it's librarian's copy and paste. When you catalog a book, you are not the first library to have bought that book. It has been cataloged elsewhere. So you can actually borrow. It's not stealing. You can borrow from other libraries who are willing to share. And there are many libraries that are willing to share records. And what I also want to encourage you on this one is also that at times we just take, but it's all about give and take. What are we giving as well to this open source philosophy? There are so many ways of giving, and in as much as you can copy from other libraries, you can also, the library can also be a provider of records for other libraries. This is actually important, let's say, for the National Library, for example, where those books are unique to Namibia, but other libraries out there might want to bring those books into their own catalogs. So how can you also offer these services? So Z950 basically is a protocol which allows you to remotely search remote catalogs and bring in records, MARC records into your own catalog. Every library system normally supports this feature by default. In Koha is not an exception. It supports Z950, so you can actually copy catalogs within Koha, which is a good thing because it saves you time. You don't do original cataloging always. You only do original cataloging for unique materials that are not that you can't find from elsewhere. But by default, Koha comes with maybe 2 targets defined, or it's one. But you can add additional targets. So this is basically what I just wanted to bring in here. That don't settle on the default targets that comes configured on the system. You can actually add your own targets. And I think testers can actually confirm this. With their library, I think we work together to add some defense libraries elsewhere where they can actually copy records into their own catalog. So there are 2 sort of competing protocols. There is Z950 and also the SRIU, which is the search retrieve via URL. But what is most widely used is the Z950 protocol. So that's just the protocol behind copy catalog. So Koha can be used to connect to any public available Z9 targets. And you can actually search from within the cataloging module. You can search a remote catalog. And we'll look briefly at how we do this. So you need to enter an additional target. You need to know the parameters, certain parameters. So you also talk about where do you get these targets. So there are the sources. There is this. Sorry, there is this. It's called irs5.indexdata.com. This is somewhere where you can actually get targets. And I would like to pause at this juncture just to take you through. So I have a Koha instance running here. And I just want to quickly show you what I'm talking about so that it doesn't become a talk show, but we actually get to do something. Okay, there I am. So if you, this is what you get. This is the staff interface. So if you go to Koha administration, Or maybe I jumped it. Let's start with catalog. It's slow. Okay, so you can see here, there is new from Z39. So if I click on that, I get an interface where I can search for, only that's a bit slow. But can you see that? So you can see that by default, I didn't do anything here. It comes with only 2 targets. So this is what I'm talking about, that you can actually add additional targets here. So that you can search across multiple targets. Because if you have only 1 target, chances are you may not find all the titles that you have in the so this is what I just want us to look at. How do you actually add additional targets? So if I go to Koha administration, okay. Then if I go here, you see that there is additional parameters. You see that one? This is where you are able to add additional targets. So here, it will allow me to configure a new Z39 server target. So in Koha, I mean, what you just need to remember is everything that is red is required. You can't skip. It's mandatory. But the ones that are black, you can actually skip. We are not really required. So which means all these parameters that are red, we need to find them from somewhere. So that's why I indicated the sources. So this is one of the sources that you can get. So this website, if you go to this website, there's a bit of delay on my mouse. Maybe it's the recording. If I copy that, okay, so there we go. So when you get to this website, if you say find target, I can just try it without any entering any parameter, just to run the search and see what it does. Okay, there we have it. So normally, I mean, what you just need to do is you just look at the library. If you're in an academic library, I think it's wise to actually also settle for academic libraries, because more or less you have similar titles. If you are a defense library, better to find defense libraries. So if you and also what you need to watch is the reliability of that host. You can see this is 100% and this is 0. So you better avoid hosts that are like a 0% reliability, because those ones are maybe you won't be able to connect. All connections will fail, or so you have to. So if we pick this one, for example, then you will notice that you get all those parameters that the host is here, and the port, that number that they use, and this is what is required from within Koha. So it's just a matter of copying across into this form. So the server name, the host, you just copy into the required, then after that you save. I won't be able to what do you call it, to actually go through this process, because in the interest of time, otherwise I won't be able to finish anything. But I think you've got the sense of what you can actually do to add additional targets. So you can add as many targets as you want, and you can search across all those targets in one code. Yeah.
I just want to add, I think the National Library here in Namibia is, you cannot find, they are not yet listed. But UNAM, for example, and NASC, you can find.
Yes, yes.
And then for the post, ne?
Yes, yeah. I think we should reach out to them. I think especially National Library, because their collections are unique, and it's important that they become accepted for other libraries. Okay, great. So I think on that note, I'll skip to another topic. But what I just wanted to say is, in as much as we can get from other libraries, we can also become providers. So if you want to be a provider of, if you want to be a Z9 target for other libraries, then you can also configure Koha, the main configuration file, the Koha cont.xml. You just need to enable and comment those lines that we get to Z9. So Koha supports that your Koha instance is both a client and a server for Z9. But just be careful that when you are a provider of Z9, it may also slow down the system, because when other libraries are requesting records, that also takes that also can also be a So when you see that your system is collapsing, you might want to just shut down the Z9. I can't. Okay. All right. Okay, so we proceed to MARC frameworks. So MARC frameworks are basically the templates or the forms where you enter your MARC data in Koha. So normally those MARC frameworks, they can be too elaborate for a small library. I've seen small libraries say, no, we are not worried about all those tags. We just want the subject, the author, the title, and maybe just minimal, because they are not worried about being detailed on MARC. So you can actually come up with MARC, additional MARC frameworks, which can have lesser text, not all. But what you should just avoid is to edit the default framework, because it may actually cause problems. So that one, just use it to copy to another custom framework that you can then edit, but don't, otherwise you don't touch it. Just leave it as it. Otherwise, things may go wrong. So I mean, the issue here is never settle for default. Try to go an extra mile and tweak the system so that it suits your own local context. So I mean, here I was just saying the same thing, that MARC structure, the MARC framework can actually be a burden for small libraries. And we have seen, I mean, most school libraries that use Koha, they actually ask for a minimum set of MARC text. Okay. So there is where you get, that's the path to the frameworks. You can edit MARC frameworks from within Koha itself, or you can edit from outside. So you can export a MARC framework and edit it from outside with Excel or any text editor, because it's just like a CSV type of 95. But I think the best will just be to do it from within Koha itself, because when you delete a tag, it takes care that it deletes all the subfields associated with that tag. But if you do it outside, when you delete a tag, then you have to make sure that you go again at the bottom associated with subfields. Otherwise, the system might not understand it. So when you go to the MARC framework, you will actually see a listing of frameworks that are available in your system. And I think we can maybe switch again briefly to the live system. And okay, so when you are lost in Koha, the staff client, the issue is just click on the logo, it takes you to the home. So if I Okay, you will notice the under catalog. That's where the MARC framework is. So these are the these are actually the default that comes with the system. And I think if I go, okay, so on the on the actions, you unfortunately can't see, but there's a column behind that panel there, which I can minimize from here.
Yeah, you minimize.
I can minimize. I minimize from mine, but yeah, okay. So here there is actions. Thank you. There is actions. Okay. So if I click on, so you can see here you can export a MARC framework. So that's why I'm saying you can export it, edit from outside, just a text file. Then, but you need to know the MARC structure. Then import it back once you've removed the MARC text. So by moving it back, import it back. Or you can do it from within Koha. So if I click on the MARC structure here, to show me the MARC text. Some MARC text can remove, of course, and there's some MARC text that, like leader, for example, can't have MARC. So there are some MARC text that you don't have to touch. I mean, yes, but most of the texts are optional. You don't have to get to them. So it's just a matter of just deleting the tag. So if you go to each tag under actions, then you can also see the subfields. Because in MARC, there's a tag, then there are subfields associated with that particular tag. So you can edit the tag itself and also edit the subfield associated with that. If you want to. Okay, or you can delete the whole tag. Just get it. Okay. I think that's okay. Sorry.
Just have a look at the time.
Yeah, I'm worried about time. Okay, so I think the gist of the story here, MARC text are just forms where you enter data and you can actually adjust them to suit your own requirements. You can do it from within Koha, or you can do it from outside. So then the MARC data that displays in OPAC. OPAC is the public facing module of Koha, which your users see, what your users see. So at times,
for those that means open public access catalog.
Yes. Some people are calling it WebPAC nowadays. So it just got several names nowadays. Okay, so basically, I mean here, what I just want to show you here is the two files that are in Koha that control what gets displayed out. Because maybe you might find maybe the edition is not displayed. So I mean by default such that. Or there's an execute that you want to display. Maybe it's a custom local market that you want to display the offer, but it's not shown. So these are the two files that control the text or the data that gets displayed to the user. So what I can only say, these are text-like files, but you just need to understand the structure, like XML structure. But the idea again here is don't edit these files. What you need to do is you copy them to another file. Then you edit your local custom file. So you leave the ones that are there as is. That way,
talking about this too, no?
yes. That way, when you upgrade, for example, then the upgrade will not replace your customization. Or if you mess up, you can quickly revert back to the default without having to. So that's the part for Linux. I'm sure I do more or less the same in Windows as well. So that's a path-through file. We've shown you, but since time is not on our side. But once you, so by default, you can see that the default is what controls what gets displayed. You can see those two that are marked. This is where you specify now your custom file. Instead of default, you put the one that you've adjusted. Then you indicate the full path to that file in those boxes where it's written before. I don't know if I'm. Yeah, I understand this. I think needs a bit of practice as well. Yeah, but these are the steps. So it's just to keep the default files that come in the system intact. You don't touch them. Then step number, so you copy to another file. So step number 2, then you edit the copy, the local copy that you've created. Then once you're done with editing the 2 files, then you have to adjust the system preferences, those 2 that I show you marked. I think we know the system preferences in Koha. Koha has gotten, sorry, let me just show you. So for example, let me just quickly show you. It's written XL. So if you go to Koha administration, you can see here there are these system preferences. So if you come here and search for, this is just part of the file, it's XSL. When you run this search, then you see, yeah, it's this one. Yeah, one of them is this one. So this is where you come and it's a box where you just type in, or you copy the path from wherever you and just paste it in there and save. Then Koha will start using your file to determine what is published, what is displayed to the user. So I think the process is not that difficult, but it's just a matter of practice, I guess. So I was planning to do some practice, but time will not allow. But I just wanted us to maybe switch off. At times, libraries use different classification numbers. They may be recorded for both the DDC and library classification, but you want to switch off the other. You don't want both to display. So that's where you can actually control variables. You can actually switch off the other tag. You just check where the core number, where you check the core number is sitting, then just get rid of it from the file. It's just a matter of editing the lines that display that particular. Okay, then we go to batch tasks. Here, Core allows you to do some batch editing. I think we've used this in several situations. Let's say, for example, you want to change items, maybe a branch is closed, and you want to change location for those items to another branch. They are moving, collections are moving. So there is a batch item editing, item modification in Koha under tools, which you can actually use here. Just if you just need the file, either those items in a file, or you can actually list the barcodes in that box that's provided there. So then you just make the changes and it does it in one go. But if you make mistakes as well, you lose in one go. So you either lose or break. Whenever we are doing global updates, we really make sure that we are aware, because it can cause real mess in the database. In the times we talk of millions of records, you don't want that to happen. So global updates, you really have to handle them with care, because you really need to know that what you're doing is correct. So what normally I do is I don't usually handle any global updates alone. I normally work with somebody so that it is like verification that what we are doing is correct. Okay. So this just, I just wanted to put this acknowledge that there is such features. Then the import patrons. Koha can also accept patrons in a CSV. Because I mean, normally when in a library, maybe the patrons are already in another system, and you want to start typing again patrons. So you can actually ask them just to export the patrons, indicate the fields that you need, then you can just format them in. Koha provides that the structure of the CSV. Then you just map the file that you got from the other system into the right structure that Koha accepts. I normally just use Excel formulas to just bring data to the right columns. It's just a matter of bringing them to the right columns, and that's it. Okay, you can do some modification here and there, but Excel will actually handle some of this. But you can also do a script. You can also do quite a number of things. In some systems, we've got some tools that are available. Okay, then also Koha, you can import MARC records. Because what's happening nowadays is, let's say you buy ebooks, a collection of ebooks. What the vendor can do, they can actually give you the book and the MARC records for those books that you bought. So you don't need to do anything. All you need is just import those MARC records into the system. That's why I think some people are saying that the role of catalog is dying, but I think catalogs are still here to stay. But really, that issue that the vendors nowadays can actually give you the book and the MARC record, which can actually, but I mean, they still need quality control anyway. Okay. So just very short that Koha can actually import records in a page. So the process is you have to stage them first. So when they are in the stage, on the stage, they are still not in the catalog yet. You still have to manage those in order for them to be actually committed to the catalog. So you can have, we always use this, like for example, we get legal deposit from National Library, and when they give us the legal deposit materials, they also give the MARC tag. The MARC records, and you can just import those MARC records. So most systems, even most library systems, right? Okay, then we come to the customization of OPAC, the branding. So really, you want it to belong. You don't want to just stay with the default. So what skills, what tools do you need? What skills do you need? I think you basically just need to know HTML, a bit of HTML, a bit of CSS, which is cascading style sheets, because that's what is used for styling elements. Then you also need to know the system preferences that control the OPAC. You also need to know the inspect element. You can use a browser to inspect elements or to inspect how elements on a page are styled. So, for example, you can inspect the image that you see on a web page to see how that image was brought in, how the image is styled, and you can actually overlay. Then, of course, I need time in the time. So this is basically what you need. So I just thought maybe we can just recap on HTML, CSS. This is how HTML and CSS relate. This is just an issue of separation of content. HTML deals with the structure of the page, while CSS deals with the appearance, so issues of colors, issues of how positioning of elements on the page is all handled by CSS. So this is how a page is normally constructed. So okay, I won't do much. I think we know some tags in HTML, paragraph, all this. So this is just an example of a web page, a basic structure of an HTML5 web page. Then CSS, this is how CSS looks like. This is just an atom of CSS. So it's it has got 3 elements: the selector, the property, and the value. So we'll look at a very good example. That's an example. So body is an HTML tag that represents the whole body of a web page. And when you do something like this, you are saying you want the background of the whole page to be white, because you're saying the whole body should be white. And you want the color, which is the foreground, the color of the text to be black. I think, what if we make both white? The eye will not see it, because there's no contrast anymore. So I mean, that's why you see some pages that are not that good to the eye, because maybe the CSS that is attached to that page is not that good enough. And I mean, you can see that a CSS block, you take the selector, the CSS block is opened by a curly bracket and also ended by a curly bracket at the end. And every row is ended by a semicolon, but the one at the end, you can actually omit a semicolon, or if it's only one row, the row, I mean, by a line that specifies some styling. It has to be separated. It has to be terminated by a semicolon. Okay. By this, the font family, we are saying if that's a cascading issue. If you don't find tau on the target client machine, then you can move and check if there's area. Or if there's no area as well, you can move and check and pick any of the sans serif fonts. Okay, right, then we come to the, okay, so here I just want to make a differentiation now. It depends on the version of Koha that you're using, these differences now. With the latest version of Koha that I have on my laptop, these preferences have been moved to the news block. So if you are still using an earlier version of Koha, chances are these are still system preferences. So if you upgrade to 20.05, don't be surprised that you don't see these under your system preferences. They have been moved. So you just need to know that they've actually been moved. So these determine the blocks on your OPAC that you can actually edit and introduce some new content. So this is how the OPAC is. So there is a header. So you can control it from what is called the OPAC header, which is the top level. Then there is the main user block, the middle one, where you can put some content. Then you can also put some right navigation and the footer, which is controlled by OPAC headers. So that this is what you really need to know. So that these are the customizable regions in your OPAC. So that's a good example. The OPAC header at the top. So you can introduce an image. You can introduce some menus. The menus are blocked. Some introduce some, maybe some book covers that are moving, of latest materials that you have bought. New arrivals in the library. Here you can put some menus, and the footer normally just copyright or anything, or you can put some menus as well at the bottom. So let me just quickly, I don't know how I'm doing with time, but I just want to show you at least so that at least you know where to find things. Am I still okay with time? I think this required a whole workshop. Just this presentation alone is a whole workshop. Okay, so what you go to, if you go to tools, because I'm using the latest version of Koha, I go to tools to find those, get a handle on those customizable. So it's here, news, under tools. So you just need to know the pathway to find it. Okay, right. So I have something already here. This one, which searches for some items. Maybe we can introduce something else. Let me just show you what the So the catalog is looking like this at the moment. That's a default. And I think some libraries just keep it this way. But you want to maybe brand it. So can you see this one? This drop down here. It's a functionality that I added on the region. So if you go to tools here, and if I edit this one, because it's being published, you see the location here, it's saying OPAC nav right English. So which means you can have a multilingual OPAC in so many languages. So you can introduce another OPAC nav right for Spanish, OPAC nav right for example, OPAC nav right for another language. If you want to go that route of having a multilingual catalog, I think we should try that. Right, so there we go. So if I edit this one, all I need to say, where do I want this to be displayed? Then I give it, is it for all libraries or for some libraries? So you have control. So each library can have actually control on what is displayed on their own number. So each library can have their own custom OPAC. Then publication date. Maybe you want to delay the publication. When do you want it to actually publish in the OPAC? Do you want to delay it so it will be effective on that particular date? And if you define an expiration date, you say when that date on expiry, then you want that item not to actually vanish without you. I think that's one of the problems with most websites, they're not updated. But if you can control what you publish this way, then you don't, it's not a manual process anymore. You can have things disappear. So this is pure HTML. If I go to this, you see this is pure HTML. I just copied it into this. All it's doing is it's searching for books and sorting them by the acquisition date. Searching for, so you just pick the material type that you want. But what you just need to adjust, this code can be, it's actually shared. What you just have to make sure is this code actually talks to your material type. So you have to know your material types in Koha. These ones should talk to your material types. So if I click on that, it should actually say for books that it's sort them by acquisition date. So if I want another entry, all I need to do is I say new. Then I provide the display location. So there's a delay. If we want the OPAC header, we know that's the definition at the very top. Then you give it a title. Whatever is red is required. So you can't leave it empty. So I'll just say banner. Then the publication date. I can actually leave it empty. I think it won't be considered. Then if you have several elements that you want to introduce in that same block, you can give some numbers to say this is the first display, second, third, give some order of how you want to. So in this case, I can just leave it empty since I only have one element. Then I can go to the source, to the actual HTML. Maybe I want to introduce an image. So I can use the image tag source. I indicate the path to the image that I want in my banner. So you can actually create your own banner with your own name and your own logo. Then you pull it this way into the OPAC banner. Is that understood? And the footer, let's say for example, there's no footer. All I need to do is I pick the right, who still remembers the right block for footer? OPAC credits. Thank you. So if we go to OPAC credits, we are controlling what gets displayed in the footer. Then all we do is in the, sorry, I didn't pick the right one, but in the code here, we can just say and copy, which is the code for copyright statement. with ingest. Then this copyright statement will appear in the footer. And I can control, now I can control the styling of this from the preferences. So I think you've noticed where you get this in the, but what I just want to stress is if you're using an earlier version of Koha, these things are still in the preferences. But with the latest Koha going forward, it's under the user. And you have much control than you can do multilingual. Sorry, let me just show you the last thing under customization. There is a very critical preference. Sorry. I'll just search for CSS. So this is how you, it's this one, OPAC user CSS. So let's say, for example, you find an element that is styled with the default Koha CSS, and you want to override that. You just take that element and include it here. Then your element becomes the one that is used. I don't know if you understand. Cascading services, or the way they work is this. You can have several files, CSS files, stacked upon each other. The last one that gets pulled is the one that has got the elements that override whatever was pulled before. That's a cascading issue. So which means the styling that is closer to the element is the one that takes precedence. So what I'm saying here is, let's say, for example, let me just show you. If I inspect, this is the inspect part. Let's say I don't want that Koha logo to appear. So I can go there and inspect it. I think the delay is caused by the. So if I inspect this element, it's quite slow. But when you, what basically happens here, when you inspect an element, yeah, it's here now. When you inspect an element, you see this styling. Can you see? Can you recognize this CSS now? So which means here, there's an element called the hash logo. Hash, normally in CSS, if you see something preceded by a hash, it means that it's an ID in an HTML tag. So this logo has got an ID called hash logo. So which means if I take the hash logo, if I take this block, for example, if I take this block, copy it to the user CSS, the OPAC user CSS preference, whatever properties I'm going to define, those are going to take precedence. They are going to override these. So, for example, I'll just make a simple example. Let's say I want to hide that logo. So if I go here, I know logo has got an ID of this logo, right? The moment I do this, I'm saying anything with that ID, don't display it at all. Because I'm saying the display none, don't. So which means whatever was defined in the actual CSS. So if I save this, it's saved. And if I go to my OPAC, you see that the logo is disappeared. Because I said, no, don't display anything in that. So whatever elements you put first from the default CSS of Koha, they won't take effect anymore. Because I have overridden those with the user CSS. So the user CSS takes place. So all you need to do when you're customizing Koha is you want to change colors, for example, for the button. read. You inspect it. So it's just a matter of going to that element, right click, inspect, see how it's styled. You take that element that you're using to style. You take the user CSS, give it another color. Then your color will take this. So that's the best way of customizing. You don't touch what Koha ships with, but you do your custom CSS on top of it. Is that fair? Okay, great. I actually wanted to show you some, but I don't know time. How much is it?
It's 10 o'clock already.
Okay. 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 Can I just, yeah, okay, just to say that, I mean, here I'm not spending much time, but just to say that backup. I think that's all I can say for now. Because you don't want to lose. Most of the things in Koha are stored in the MySQL database. So MySQL has got a command called MySQL dump, or you can use tools like PHP admin. You can use something called adminer to actually back up the MySQL database. That's critical. But you also need to back up the file system if you're doing customization. So just to say that backup is important, I was going to show you some MySQL. This is the MySQL dump command, which backs up the database, the whole database, the SQL file. And there's also this automated way, this online access called parsing. You can actually have data files move to another system automatically without your human involvement. I think with backup, you don't want to involve men. So cron is where you can schedule the backups in Linux. Windows, I think, is for schedule tasks. So these are some of the tools that are at your disposal for backups. There's also the scripts in Koha itself, some scripts that can actually handle backups for you. Then upgrades, I think this is what I was just saying in the beginning, that don't install and forget. Make sure you keep track of what is the latest version of Koha, so that you keep up. You don't stay with Windows XP, which is no longer supported, or Windows 7. You need to move time. So let's upgrade. And I just wanted to find out what version are you running on Koha at the moment? Is it still within support or not being supported anymore? And this is just an upgrade procedure. Which you can follow on Linux. I don't use Windows when I'm handling this open source system, so I don't know how it works in Windows, but it should be more necessary. With that, I think, thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much. You see, we started this morning with your presentation just because we are so fresh and we knew that will be quite already advanced. So for those that are new, they didn't use Koha, it doesn't look as complicated as you see now because that is already advanced. So as you know, we have, I mean, Bravimore is one of our specialists in the country, and it was already some details. But I think some of you got a clue already. So, I know this. I heard some remarks on how already. So it's not new for everybody. Yeah, we will have later some presentation there. Let's say a bit lighter. Yeah, but thank you very much for your support. And maybe you mentioned in your presentation already that it's even with some of the exercises, including it could be a workshop on its own already. Yeah, but it gives us an overview what can be done, what different steps are possible with Koha. And we have the people here that have the knowledge. So that is the most important thing to share in our network. Yeah. Okay, thank you very much again. And our program is Russel. So Russel, you have also
yes, PowerPoint and short PowerPoint. Most of it is practical.
Yeah. May I ask also when you talk quite loud so that we can hear it under registration? Even with the mask, it's not so easy.
Right.
And did you stop to share your screen?
Yeah, I did. Okay, let me just clear my throat.
And the break is outside the cafe, no? The break. Oh, it's there. Okay. At about quarter to 11. So in about 40 minutes, 45 minutes. Okay. Good. So now that is fine. Is there also coffee? Yes.
Such juice.
Juice from the yeah, Russell, the floor is yours.
All right, so let me just connect and share my screen. Or am I the host now?
You should be able, because I share for everybody. Let's see. Yeah. So
Okay.
everybody can share.
All right. Good morning once again, ladies and gents. My name is Russel, and today I've prepared a short presentation for you, more like a tutorial on how to use Koha as a digital library. I remember last time from our previous workshop, it was brought up as one of the arising issues that we needed to look on. So yeah, I found a way now of how to do that, to enable Koha to sort of become a retrieval system where you can download books, e-books, e-journals straight in either PDF format or EPUB or whatever. Yes. Okay, so firstly, let me just walk you through the PowerPoint. So digital libraries, that's the definition. It's a library that in which collections are stored in digital formats and accessible by computers. Or it can also be called as a collection of documents in organized electronic formats available on the internet, on CD-ROM or compact disk or read memory disks, depending on the specific library. A user may be able to access those specific materials, either journals, magazines, books, etc. So Koha is a digital library. Firstly, you can use it either to store your, not to store, to retrieve as a retrieval system for digitized materials, or to point it to external sources where it retrieves straight from there. When your users access it to download books, they just go straight. Or you can, yeah, basically this is the same as the first one, your own e-resources. For example, e-books, journals, e-business, audio, video, etc. Okay. Okay, the first step now is to have a storage facility. In this case, some bigger institutions, they might have a server with a FTP or remote server, or some are storing on clouds, or some have institutional repositories. In our case, I'm going to be using Google Drive, or in your case, you can use any drive like OneDrive Omega Drive where you can put your ebooks or your files, and then you're gonna link Koha to that.
On the server.
Yes, on the server to retrieve the files from your storage. Okay. So, okay, I think it's better if I show you these steps rather than explaining, because it won't make sense. Because firstly, you have to open Koha staff client and go to administration. And okay, in our case, if you check your emails, if you want to follow the tutorial, you can check in your email. I've sent a link to the Koha demo version that I'm going to be using for this demonstration. I just send it now to your email. Okay.
Send it now.
Yes. I send it to your emails. Everybody that was CC'd in the, I just sent to them.
So we should use the demo.
Yes. Let me show you. Okay, I just sent it to you. This is my email right now. So I send you a link to my Google Drive folder that I'm going to be using. The one that I'm using is a storage device to store books. And then the demo version of Koha now that I'll be using, this is the link here. If you click on that, it will take you straight there. Okay, let me just open it there. Okay, I was already logged in, so that's why I just jumped straight in. The username is demo, the password is demo. Okay, and I'll also open the OPAC one, the user interface. Okay, so this one is in default format, and this demo version is being hosted by Equinox, an American library. Okay, okay, now let me show you my Google Drive that I'll be using as a storage device. Okay, this is my Google Drive. This is the folder that I've shared with everybody on that link there. And I've stored ebooks and journals that I'm going to be using on the Koha. Okay, so now we can go to Koha staff client. So firstly, the first step is to create a library for yourself, a digital library. Create a digital library as a library on its own. So to do that, let's just go. I like to start from Koha administration. Okay. Okay, to do that, first step, you go to, let me start from the beginning. The first step, let's go to Koha administration. The first step is to set a library to define a new library, and you give it a name, for instance, digital library, or your name according to your preference or institution. So you go to basic parameters and you go to libraries. You can define the library. And then you go to new library. Okay, library code. In our case, we just say digital library, DL. Okay. So now when Koha is being used as a digital library, when you're linking materials to it, you must make sure that they are either open access or they are not under copyright, or they are your own. You need to watch out for that. Okay, so okay, there's no need to fill in that other information. It's okay. I just need it to be like that. Then you just submit. That's for now. Okay, it's appearing there, down there. Okay, so second step is to create.
Since we error code when adding this library.
Excuse me?
The branch code must already exist.
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. Oh, it's because I have just created it now. Yeah, unless you give it your.
Everybody must get.
Yes. You must use your own name. Yes. In your case, you can put your own name. Okay. Now, because you are practicing on the same On the same Koha, we can't have two names that are resembling each other at the same time to be redundant. Okay, so now the second step is to create an item type for your ebooks or your e-journals or e-thesis. Okay, so I always like to start from the beginning so everybody sees the steps. I will go back to Koha home. Okay, and then back to Koha administration again.
Maybe you should move it so fast so that you can follow.
Okay. Okay, let me start from, okay, to go back to Koha home whenever you are lost, you can always click on the logo of Koha. It will always take you back to the main page, main user interface. Okay, so
yeah, that's very helpful. Yes, this is logo.
In the corner,
Always
right here.
come back to the
Yes, right
main
here.
page.
Yes. Once you click on it, to always take you back to the user interface that you are seeing now.
So you must not only change the name of the library, also the
library code. Yes.
Code and the name must be different.
Yes. So now we can go to Koha administration. So we define our item type. Okay. Then you go to, okay, I'm a bit fast. I keep forgetting that I have people following me. Okay, once you are in Koha administration, you go to basic parameters, and under basic parameters is something called item types. So under item types, once you click it, a new window will open up where you have to define your new item type. So in our case, we want to have ebooks. So our code here for ebook maybe can just be EB, and then description ebook. Okay, in your case, it's okay. You can even use the same as me because you are gonna define it under. Okay, but it's okay. Never mind. Just you flow. Feel free to flow here. Okay. Now we have to choose an icon for it, and the best icons are. Okay. I prefer using. Okay. Hold on. Okay, let's use this one. Yeah, this one's more advanced. Yeah. Okay, for ebook, I guess we can take something that resembles a book. Yeah, even this will do for now. That book can be used as an icon. Okay, you can choose the icon yourself, any icon that you prefer. Okay, and then when you scroll down here, to which library does this item type belong? So in our case, we created digital library, so we choose digital library. And just save. Then you go to save. Once you save it, if you scroll down here, you will be able to see it. Ebook. It's right there. It's right there, the one that we created. Let's create another item type for okay, but never mind. The same process, Even if you are creating for e-thesis or e-journal, this is how you are supposed to do it when you're creating an item type. Let's say you have e-thesis, you still have to create another item type for e-thesis. So when you link the items, they'll be classified under e-thesis. Let me just make that this work. We're going to link one as well. E-thesis. Okay. Icons, you can just. Oh, these are the perfect icons. Bridge. Okay, it's even here written. Okay. Okay, you just take anything. I'll just take periodical, because it's a thesis. Okay, it's the icon. And then okay, digital library. And then we say limited to one branch because it's the one that we created. Okay, so second step is to go back to home, Koha home, your main user interface, staff client, and we go to cataloging. The second stage is cataloging. Yeah. Okay, but before we get to cataloging, you first need to have materials that you catalog. And in our case, I've prepared some for us on the Google Drive folder that I've shared with you. Okay.
So you must go back to the email.
Yes. You must go back to the email. Okay. So once you come to the email, it will lead you to this Google Drive folder. And I've uploaded a couple of articles that you can use as an example. So for instance, let's take this one. The first one. Enhancing disaster resilience. Okay, this one. Okay, let's take this one and just catalog it for practice sake. Okay, now let's go back to Koha staff client. Then we go to cataloging. Okay, and then you say new record. Okay, and then you come here. Okay, and then you choose default framework. Choose default framework. It's the one that we are going to use because we didn't define our own default framework. Like previously in Mr. Bravimore's presentation, he explained how you should do MARC framework editing before anything else. Okay, so at this field.
We are not it's just loading.
Okay. So perhaps I should go backwards and start, or must I just proceed?
Just wait a few seconds.
Okay.
I don't know how far is somebody following.
Okay. All right. So yes, default framework in this case, and then just fill in the system required fields. If you click on it, they'll just autofill for now. Yeah, you'll just autofill and scroll down to 040 and put transcribing agency. Yeah, you can, for instance, here we can just say digital library. This one cannot be left blank as well. It's a required field in the default framework. Okay, so Mr. Detlef, are you?
It's just loading. Maybe that's slow here.
We can name it anything.
Yeah.
Okay, you can name it anything. Transcribing agency. If you go to 040, take 4040. Yeah. You must write something there. Yeah, transcribing agency. Which agency is that? In our case, we created digital library, so I just put that there. So let's go back up. Okay, and let's move to the next tag, 100. Here is the author main entry. Okay, in this case, the author's name. I opened the article. Let me show you. Okay, I just don't like the way. Go back to the Google Drive. Yes, Google Drive and open that first article, and they just get the author first. It's Paul.
Editor.
Yeah, it's Paul. You can download it and copy and copy and paste in your case now to be much faster. So if the last name is Sendifa, oh, okay. Okay, are you all here? Okay. So personal name. Okay. In our case, this demo version is kind of like having restrictions, but just hold on. Okay, let's just fill in the required fields for now. Okay, let's go to 200. Let's keep main entry. Let's go to 200 because we are just doing it for practice sake. In your case, these things will be able to be, you'll be able to fill all the fields. Okay, the title of that thing is, okay, I'll show you now. Go back to the Google Drive.
The 200 are all the information about the title itself.
Yes. Title and statement of responsibility. It's okay. It doesn't have to be the full title because we are just, the whole point is to show you how the e-resources get attached to Koha. Okay, now let's go to, okay, 300, 400, these things are optional in our case because we are just practicing. Let's go to 800. This is the part that is more critical when you are classifying or cataloging the e-books or e-journals. Because this is where you're going to put the link to where the books are stored in their description.
800, all the local information. So the signature, where
Exactly.
is, which collection, and so on.
Yes, in this way you also specify the link, the URL there or the address to where your books are stored. Let's say you have a Google Drive or OneDrive, you get a link from there for that specific material and you bring it here. Or let's say you have a database where your books are stored. Those are the links that you're gonna have to take and use them here. I'll show you now how it's done. Okay, in our case, we have a Google Drive. We have a Google Drive folder. Okay, let's go there.
Which field number is that?
800. Oh, the one that has to do with links.
Where do you put the link?
Okay, I'll show you now. Okay, I think I have to plug in my laptop. Continue. Are you able to listen to this one?
Running out of power.
Okay, so go back to the Google Drive folder there and go to the first article and right click and go to get link. So in our case, we have to make the link visible to the public. You change permissions to the link. Here you can either restrict it or make anyone be able to see the link. So in our case, you have to make it visible to everybody. And then,
to get to that,
okay, I'll show you now.
I'm now at my email with the 4 drives, and then
Yeah.
click left,
Right click.
right click.
Yes. And then you go to get link.
To get, yeah, okay, I must translate my.
Okay. Oh, it's in Deutsch. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
And then get link.
Yeah.
And then you should make the link accessible to everybody that has the link. Everybody that you share the link with must have access to it. Be it a database, be it a friend, you must make anyone accessible to this link. So now copy the link. Okay, and then we go back to Koha. Did you do that? Did you copy the link?
I did, but I can't go in. Koha is still loading.
Koha is still loading. Okay. So now once you come to 800, if you look down here, there's 800 and a tag called 856, electronic location and access.
The number again?
856, yes. 856.
856.
Yeah, 856. Yeah, sorry for that. So this is now the critical part. Materials specified uniform resource identifier, URL. So here is where you're gonna paste that link that you got from your Google Drive. Yeah. So in your case, you might be from OneDrive or your institutional repository, etc., or your digital or object identifier, DOI. So now here, let's type something here where it says materials specified. Here we should say, click here to get ebook. So instead of the link being displayed, these are the words that are gonna come up, so where the user knows where to click once they want to retrieve the ebook. Okay, so in 900, go to 900. This way you're gonna define the item type. Okay, in our case we say ebook. Okay, and then we just save. Okay, once you save, then we have to add item. Okay, now, okay, in our case, we have to specify now the location where the ebook should be.
Can I just so this is now the title, which is in already.
Yes.
The title. It doesn't mean it's the example you have got. It's just the title.
Just the title.
The title.
Yes, information of the title. Yeah. Yes. And now here, all this information that is being asked here is mostly for physical materials that are on the shelf. So in our case, we are dealing with the ebook. So we don't have a barcode in our case or call number because there's no physical place to place it. So we're smart enough. We created that digital library. So permanent location, we just give it digital library. Current location, again, digital library. And then we go down here, we leave everything untouched because just for physical materials. And then you say add item. Yeah. There, if you want.
And then you can see that is what you are.
Yes. Now it's in, yes. So if you want, you can specify here if it's for loan or not for loan, all those things. Okay, so are you able to save that? Ms. Victoria, are you able, did you add the item? Okay.
Scroll down, what else did you edit?
Nothing. I just went here, permanent location. I gave it digital library. Yes. And current location as well. Okay. After that, then we go to the user interface, the OPAC. Yeah. The link is in your email as well. The link is in your email as well. And let's try to search for something. Okay, in our case, we said enhancing. Search by title. And we can, okay, hit search there. Okay, just hold on. I think I misspelled.
Disaster.
Yeah, disaster. Yeah, disaster. Yeah, I'm just thinking of that because it pulled all my grandfather's kettles.
It's a disaster.
Okay, the network is a bit slow, I guess. Yeah. Okay, it came up now. Nothing. No. This is not the one that you put. Oh, you put all the. You also added yours, right? Okay. Or maybe like. Okay. If you open it now, if you check here, inline resource, here get ebook. instead of the link. So click there, it will take you straight to the ebook. See, and then you are able to download it. Your user, so that's how your users will do the same as well with your collection. Yes, but in most cases now you have to consider only materials that are in open access because there is copyright laws and intellectual property rights that are covered in some books. Yes.
That's another workshop, copyright.
Yes, there's another workshop again. We have to touch on that. Yes, we have to touch on that as well. Yes, we have to touch on that. So perhaps let me repeat the process one last time so you get a clear picture because I was moving a bit fast.
And we have the record now.
Yes, yes. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Oh, it was good. Oh, just, oh, yeah. Why didn't I think of that? Yeah. Oh, smart. Okay. Okay. One more thing that I wanted to show you is how to add the, when you get new arrivals. Mr. Bravimore also showed you something. Yeah, I wanted to show you now how to make it in a slideshow, for instance. Books display in a slideshow. Okay. So I've prepared, if you check on the Google Drive, there's a notepad file with a HTML code. Yes, with the HTML code that has to do with, it's mixed a bit with JavaScript and it changes, it defines how the pictures or the books when you upload them will display in terms of the slide. Yes, in terms of the slideshow. Okay, so what we are gonna do in our case is just copy from HTML, copy from body. Yeah, copy from body. You only need this part. Copy from body until body, for instance. And then you just copy that. Go back to Koha staff client and then home page. Okay. Now you have to go to Koha administration. Okay. And then global system preferences. Okay. On the left-hand side panel, there's OPAC. Click on OPAC. Okay. And now you just scroll down. Okay, this demo version that I'm using has a bit of limitations. So I'm not able to edit OPAC main user block. Yeah, because of my user privileges, because of the account that we're using, it doesn't have those privileges. But we are just gonna use even OPAC nav as a practice platform for the slideshow. Okay. Now paste that code that you've copied from there. Let's paste it there. Okay. I surely like to. Okay, in our case, it will pick up. I don't have to start with a header, the traditional HTML tag. It will pick up automatically that it's a HTML code. Okay. Now, if you check inside the code here, there is a section where you have to specify the location where your pictures are stored or your books are stored, the ones that you're going to display on new arrivals for users to, when the first thing that they see on the page will be that. So now in our case, I don't have any pictures stored on my computer, but we're just going to use pictures from Google practice. So we just open Google. Let me take anything on Albert Einstein. Okay, go to images. Okay, let's say even this one. Okay, then copy image address. Okay, then you go back to Koha administration, go to the code. You see where it says IMG class, this has to do with image. And then SRC source, the source now with the location. In some certain instances, you might find href. Okay, now you paste that link that you've copied there. Okay, let's leave it there and let's go get another picture as well. You need at least 3-4 pictures if you're gonna use slideshow.
So that option we can use maybe for covers of pictures of ebooks.
Yes, covers of ebooks, covers of books to display that these are the books that we have in the collection currently. Yes. Yes. And even just any picture mostly you can just take and just copy the link, image address, stuff line.
Also check for copyright even for covers.
Yes, exactly. You need to catch on that. You need to be careful with that. Yes. In most cases now, if you have purchased a physical book, it comes with a CD where you can get the PNG file for the icon for the book. Yeah, that one you purchase, so it's within your right to use it there to display, as long as it's not for commercial purposes. Okay, let me just get one last picture. Okay. It will even be about Koha. Even this one is just to, okay, maybe this one is more colorful. Yeah. Copy image, go back to Koha, scroll down. Okay, this way you have to paste. Okay. Now, save all preferences. Okay, in your case, okay, but let's just do that and go to the staff client, not staff client, but the OPAC. Okay, refresh. Actually, click on home. Just click and then it will take you home. Shihepo. As you can see, now we are using the navigation as the, yes. Now you can see the slideshow is displaying there. But in your case, since you're going to have more control, you can make it to display in the main user block here. In the main user block, you can define, you can give it borders, you can make it much more, you can use CSS to modify how you would want it to display, to give more attractive features. Yes. So it's not so complicated. The pictures are moving fast, but you can always define how long the time interval. Like now it said 2 seconds. You can usually make it slower. Change image every 2 seconds. Maybe every 5 seconds. Yeah.
What's the time again? Can you show where you change from?
Oh, here.
Yeah.
Change image every 5 seconds. Okay. I think this is the time.
Itafara hota no ninge.
Exactly. So let's see. Go with the refresh. And let's see how slow it is now. 5 seconds is quite a long time. Then it changes after 5 seconds, yes. So depending on your preference, and then you set it according to that. Okay.
Can the cover take you to the book?
Yeah, that one, that's what. Yeah, that one I haven't clicked yet, but I'm pretty sure that it's possible. Yes, with the href tag. Yes, within if you click, then it just hyperlink. Yes, then it just takes you there. Yes, that's why we have the expert in the house. He always gives me ideas. But yes, definitely. Yeah. Okay. So that was all I've cooked up for you today on how to use Koha as a digital library. Because nowadays we are moving into the e-platform, and your students or your learners are at home, they need information, so you can provide that as well. And let me recommend you, there's a lot of open access databases that are offering journals and articles. One of them is, there's this one called Digital Directorate of Open Access Journals. That one. You can even link it to your OPAC as one of the external sources that your users can use to access. Yeah, there is something called okay. There is this one as well called scientific research. This one also has access to peer-reviewed journals and articles. So you can link it to your Koha as well, or you can use it to download articles that are subject specific to your library's collection, and you link them to your Koha as ebooks or e-journals that they can download straight into their computers or cell phones. So I'm advising all the libraries to look into the concept of open access, because there's a lot of opportunities there. Because like in Namibia, we have some government institutions, they have budget cuts and they still need to provide information. So you can look on open access information as well, if you are not able to buy. Okay, so in conclusion, we take the Da Vinci Code, we can use Koha as a digital library. Yeah, but if you are lucky enough to have a institutional repository where you store your research done by your institution, then you are sorted, because you're just going to link everything there to your Koha. And then you can deny access, you can restrict access to the links, everything, not for long. Yes. So thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thank you very much, Russel. I think it was very useful and something new. And I think also, yeah, for you, it's because I know you asked already, you want to put your ebooks.
Physical collection and digital collection. That's the way to do it in Koha now. Yes.
You have, now a specialist, and you have even the recording of the session.
Yes, you're gonna watch it at your own time.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, thanks again. And so now we'll be going now to our break outside. And I suggest to stop the registration now. Also, there are even some comments from outside. Wow, interesting one, Russell. That's for you. I would like to stop now the registration and close the Zoom meeting. And we meet again on the Zoom meeting on 11:30, so that we have two different sequences of the registration. And it doesn't make sense to keep the Zoom meeting now for 45 minutes or for 40 minutes, 30 minutes just for nothing. Yeah, so I stop the recording now.